Ars Nouveau, every ritual. To cast a ritual, you need a ritual brazier. To make a ritual brazier, you need to start with an arcane pedestal, 3 gold, and a source gem block. How the arcane pedestal works is you put it down, preferably near a source jar. Then you can combine it with a tablet of rituals. There are many different tablets of rituals, and how to create all of them can be found inside the War Notebook underneath the rituals section. It talks about every tablet and every ritual they cast, as well as all their modifiers. Modifiers are things you can add onto a ritual. So when you right click a ritual onto a ritual brazier, you can then add things to it if it's a ritual that lets you do such a thing, such as the ritual of Conjure Islands. This, by putting extra gems on it, increases the size of the island. To make the ritual activate, after you've right-clicked the tablet onto the brazier, you right-click the ritual again, and this will make the ritual start. Rituals will run until they are finished. If a ritual is a continuously running ritual, it will run until it's out of source, and then once more source is provided, it will start running again. If you wish to stop a constantly running ritual, you can either give it a redstone signal, which will shut off the ritual for the time, or you can break the brazier and you will stop the ritual. The first ritual is the ritual of Burrowing. It is made with flourishing archwood logs, coal, and iron. Tablet of Burrowing will dig 4 holes all the way down to bedrock, 1 on every single side of your ritual, so don't have things too near to your brazier. It does take a decent amount of time, but it will go all the way to bedrock, and it will also collect every block along the way down, so you can go down after the ritual is done and collect all the blocks that have dropped. The ritual of Challenge requires ink sacks, emerald blocks, and vexing archwood to create. This ritual is to be cast inside villages. Outside villages, it doesn't have much use, but when cast inside villages, it will start a raid. You can increase the challenge of the raid by adding an emerald to the ritual to make it a more powerful high-level raid, guaranteeing your chance of gaining totems of the undying. When activated, it does take quite a bit of time to start, so you'll have a bit of time to prepare for the raid to come. A redstone signal applied to the ritual brazier will not end the raid, you have to fight out yourself. The ritual of Binding is how you get yourself familiars. It is made with source gems, vexing wood, blank parchment, and ender pearls. It also requires you to have one of the magical friendly creatures of Ars Nouveau nearby that has been tamed by you for automation. The easiest to do this with is the Starbuckle. You activate the ritual next to the automation creature you wish to be your familiar, and over a short period it will turn the creature into a bound script. Then you can bound that script to your familiar slots within your spellbook. They can be found under familiars, and when you click on them, it will summon your familiar to you. More on familiars in my how-tos Ars Nouveau video, linked in the description of this video. The Ritual of Awakening requires flourishing archwood logs, 1 of every kind of archwood sapling, and many source gems. When this ritual is performed, it has a multitude of effects depending on what is nearby. If an archwood tree is nearby, it'll turn the archwood tree into a treant of that archwood kind. There's a different treant for each different kind of archwood. If the ritual is cast near budding amethyst, it will instead summon an amethyst golem, which can farm amethyst for you. And finally, if the ritual is augmented with a book and quill, it will give you a bookworm token. The ritual of Disintegration is the ritual we showed at the beginning. It requires blazing archwood, 3 golden swords, and 3 books. And it will kill creatures and drop experience points as long as it is running. It requires source for every creature it kills, but they will be turned into these experience gems which can be eaten for double the amount of experience that the monster would have normally dropped. It will continually run and continually kill every creature that is hostile nearby. Hostile mobs will not drop items, they will only drop experience, so it can only be an experience farm for you. The Ritual of Sunrise requires blazing archwood and a sunflower to cast. When activated in the ritual altar, it will turn night into day, so you can skip the night with this ritual. The Ritual of Cloudshaping controls the weather. It is made with feathers, cascading archwood logs, and a source gem block. In its base form, it will make it a clear day, getting rid of all weather events. If you augment it with gunpowder, it will make it rain. And if you augment it with a block of lapis, it will create a thunderstorm. And again, cast by itself without augmentations will make the weather clear. The Ritual of Flight is cast by using Windle Wings, 2 diamonds, Ender Pearl, and Vexing Archwood. It will constantly consume mana whenever it applies the flying effect to you. The flight effect allows you to fly without being in creative mode, and also prevents all fall damage that would be taken. Every time the effect is refreshed, it will consume some of the source from a nearby jar. The Ritual of Conjure Islands Plains is created with flourishing archwood logs, grass blocks, and earth essence. This will turn air into dirt blocks and stone to create a floating island as seen over there. This process can be augmented with source stone gems to make the island larger, and it can be augmented Frostian to make the island a snowy island. Cast at its base without anything going on and on the ground, it will fill in the blocks that need filling in nearby. The whole process constantly consumes source from a nearby source jar, and to be completed will need source to run its course. The main purpose of this ritual is to cast it well up in the air to create a large floating island. You could also cast it on top of a tree to get some of this effect. You can constantly augment with source gems to continually increase its time, and this ritual does take a decent amount of time to cast. As you can see, it has paused because there's no nearby available source. So we'll give it a creative source jar to continue the process, and it will make the island decently fast, but larger islands take a lot longer than smaller islands. This is an excellent way to grief someone. The Ritual of Restoration requires Abjuration Essence, a golden apple, and flourishing archwood to cast. This ritual heals everyone nearby of damage they have taken. It will heal players, it will kill or damage undead, and it will also restore zombie villagers to a normal villager, making them lightly more and offering better trades. It will constantly run, constantly draining source, and it will constantly damage the zombies nearby and heal you. You can turn it off and on with a redstone signal. The Ritual of Summon Animals will summon animals constantly to the biome they are supposed to be in. Thus is a way to quickly spawn friendly mobs to a biome. It needs a lapis, starbuckle tokens, and vexing archwood to cast, and a source nearby. Once activated, every few ticks or so you will get a friendly mob spawning nearby, including mobs from Ars Nouveau, such as starbuckles and whirly spurls. The Ritual of Forestation is made with earth essence, meldestine, and a flourishing archwood. When cast, it will plant a sapling nearby appropriate to the biome and give it a bone meal effect, thus quickly growing some plants. The Ritual of Warping is created with a warp scroll and a vexing archwood log. It must be augmented with a warp scroll bound to a location. When activated, it will teleport all nearby entities to that location. Item frames count as entities, so be careful when casting this near your item displays. The Ritual of Moonfall is created with a Windle Wing and a cascading archwood log, and it is the opposite to the Daybreak. turning day into night when cast. Is very annoying on servers that happen to have vampires. The Ritual of Containment is created with 3 glass bottles, manipulation essence, and vexing archwood logs. It also requires containment jars to be nearby to work properly. While the ritual is running, any entities nearby will be captured by the ritual and put into nearby jars. Whenever this happens, it will consume some source from a nearby source jar. It will capture any entity, including dropped items and boss monsters like the Ender Dragon. There's more information on what these jars can be used for in the How to Ars Nouveau video, which can be found with a link to in the description of the video. The ritual Scrying is to help you find a specific block. It is made with 3 spider eyes, glowstone blocks, source gems in a block, and a vexing archwood log. It can be augmented with any block you wish to find. So, for this case, we'll go with gold ore. And it can also be augmented with manipulation essence to increase the effective time of the ritual, as it'll apply the scrying effect to you. Once cast, it will then give a burst of energy and give you the effect scrying specific to gold ore. This will now let us see the locations of all nearby gold ore underground. The Ritual of Gravity makes everything fall faster and prevents flying of nearby creatures. It is made with earth essence, air essence, anvil, a feather, and flourishing archwood logs. This ritual will not affect creatures in creative mode initially, but creatures in survival mode will have the gravity effect applied to them. Then when flying is attempted, it will force you back down to the ground. Also, trying to jump extra far distances will drop you to the ground. You can still jump normally, but if you're trying to jump far, it'll not let you, thus making parkour impossible. The Ritual of Flowering is created with flourishing archwood logs, 3 poppies, 3 dandelions, and earth essence. It makes flowers appear nearby. It can be augmented with source gems to increase the range of how far it will spread the flowers to grow. It can also be augmented with sand to make dead bushes and cactuses appear instead of normal flowers. The Ritual of Sanctuary is cast with cascading archwood logs, sea lantern, and water essence. This ritual stops hostile mobs from spawning within a 32 block radius of the ritual. It can be further augmented by adding rotten flesh to it, increasing the radius of the ritual. Each time it stops a mob from spawning, it will consume some power from a nearby source jar. The radius can be increased all the way up to 128 blocks. It's kind of hard to show off it stopping mobs from spawning, but there you go. The Ritual of Fertility is created with wheat, golden apples, blazing powder, and flourishing archwood logs. This will cause nearby animals to breed. The ritual will continuously run, and every time it makes a pair of animals breed, it will consume some source, and it will keep animals breeding until there are 20 animals nearby, and then the effect will stop. The Ritual of Overgrowth is cast with flourishing archwood logs, Mage Bloom 3, and 2 Earth Essence. When cast, it applies bone meal nearby to all things. When augmented with a block of bone, it will cause animals to grow up excessively fast. Every time it causes animals to grow or applies the bone meal effect, it will consume source. The Ritual of Conjure Island Desert Variety summons a desert island, so it'll make a sandy island appear in the air. This one also requires source nearby to run properly. Its size can be augmented with a source gem, and it will create an island of sand and sandstone. If augmented with a piece of terracotta, it will instead summon a terracotta island to the location. The Ritual of Harvest. This is made with an iron hoe, earth essence, and flourishing archwood logs. This ritual automatically harvests nearby crops that are fully grown. If the ritual brazier is put next to a chest, then the harvested crops will be put inside the chest. And the final ritual we have is the ritual of Wilden summoning. This ritual is crafted in 2 different ways. You can either have a vexing archwood log and a lapis with 3 of any windle kind of item, or you can have a block of emeralds, an iron sword, and a bow. When cast, it will summon windles to the area, giving you a variety of windles to fight and hunt to get resources from them. This ritual will run until a small group of windles have been summoned. However, if you cast this ritual and augment it with 1 of every kind of windle bit, it will instead summon the Windle Chimera, which is the boss of Ars Nouveau. It will let you get the Archmage spellbook upon defeating it, and I have a video about the best ways to fight it inside the How to Ars Nouveau video. Also, when you summon it, it has a lovely little song. Also like the way its face looks. Looks a little out of it. And that is every ritual in Ars Nouveau. I hope you found this video useful or entertaining or both. We'll have more videos on all the different things in Ars Nouveau coming out later, so please enjoy those as well. And as for now, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.